Hello guys, welcome back to this tutorial. In the previous tutorial, we saw how to expose our class as a REST web service. And we also added a method with an HTTP GET method when we are retrieving a particular case record. Now in this tutorial, we are going to go ahead and add another methods, HTTP method like post, delete, etc. So that when a request is made or a post request is made for the URL cases, then through that request, you should be able to create a new case record. And also we'll add a delete method. If a delete request is made for this URL, then you should be able to delete a particular case record. So we are going to add these methods. So the first method that we are going to add will be of the type annotation at the rate HTTP post. So as per the definition for the HTTP post, it is going to create a record. So if you are creating a new record, this is the annotation that to use. Now, as per the rule for exposing the methods of the class as a web service, you have to make the method as global and static. And the return type of this method is going to return you the ID of the newly created record. And the method name is create case, and it takes in, so when we are creating a case record, you enter some information, right? So let's say from the request we will be passing the subject, then we will also pass origin and the status, then we will pass the origin, then we will also pass the priority. So these are the data, these are the fields that will be passed. Now, whatever fields that we are passing, we will use that information to create a new case record. So we are going to go ahead, and whatever we are passing in the search field will go to the subject field of the case record. Then similarly, the status would be equal to whatever you are passing to the STA field. Then the origin of the case would be equals to whatever you are passing in this field. And then the priority of the case will be whatever you are passing in this field. And then we are going to create whatever the record got created, we are going to create this case. So this is the case that we are creating with all the information that you are providing. Now, at this point, the data has not been entered into the Salesforce. So in order to insert the newly created case into the database, we are going to use this VML statement, and we will provide the field that we want to insert. So first will all the data that the request had passed, that will be used to create the case object. Until this point, the data has not been entered the Salesforce. By using this insert operation, this data will be entered. Insert this case. Now we are going to return the ID of this newly created case. So we are going to go ahead and use this case of ID. So we will return the ID of this newly created case. So we are going to go ahead and hit the save button. Now, when we are making the HTTP request here, so now here the get is going to give me something. The post is used to create a new record. So the body would be, so here I'm going to say slash cases, but this time I would be choosing a post request. And I will be passing all that data. Which kind of data? So these are the request parameters that I'm going to pass. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the subject SUB, SUB. Next will be this one. Next, citing. This will be the subject line. Then the status STA, STA, then it say would be new status, then origin, ORI, that is going to be phone, and then the last one we have is the priority, and that is going to be high, let's say, or we will keep it as low here. So now where this HTTP, so whatever you have provided, the names here, the same one should be used. So it's saying it should be SUBJ. So whatever you are provided here, the same name should be used here. So the new case will have the subject would be equals to next siding. The status would be of the case would be equals to new. Origin for the new case would be phone and the priority would be low. So what will happen is right now, if you go back, total number of cases, let's you go ahead and see the total number of cases. All cases. So we are having the 3 cases. So what are going to do this? We are going to execute this. So we are making a REST call, post call, which is basically invoking the post method. So which method for this resource will be invoked? So the post method will be invoked. We are not making a get request. We are making a post request now. So the post method of this resource will be invoked and the URL would be this. So whenever you are looking for this URL slash cases, and we are providing all this information. Now if I go ahead and hit the execute button, I should get the ID of the newly created case. And now there should be So if I refresh it, let's see if one record is added. Yeah, record is added. This is exactly what it is, next sighting. So this is the record that is just got created, 1026. And as you can see here, the subject is next sighting. Priority is low, status is new, and this is the case number. So we are finally able to create. So whenever a post request is made with this URI, with this URL, then this is the method that would be called. Now let's say we also add a method for the delete. So if you want to delete a particular case, you can invoke this method and it will delete the record for you. So in order to delete something, what we are going to do is we have to use the annotation called delete, HTTP delete, and then the method will be marked as global static, and it is going to give you a return type of void, and the name for the method is delete case. To the external party, we do not have to export this whole code. You do not have to give this code. All you will tell them, hey, in order to access the cases, you have the URL called cases, and these are the method that we call get method, post method, delete method, etc. And based upon what kind of request those consumer, whatever the third party is making, based upon that the particular method will be invoked. You will be making a get call, get request, and the method will be called. If they're making a post request, then the post method will be invoked. So you have an HTTP. Now we are going to do a delete. So the delete case, delete the case record. So this delete will also not going to delete everything. Okay, you have to provide the ID of the record that you want to delete. So what you're going to do is, just like we have to, in order to access the ID, we'll pass that to the in the URL. This one. Paste this. And using this, we are access the ID, and we are going to store that ID in this variable. And then what we are going to do is we are going to look for the case record with the ID that we just provided. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and say select the ID from the case where the ID is equals to whatever the ID that the user has provided in the request. So that ID is stored in this variable, and whatever the record it returned, we will store that record in this variable, this case, and then we are going to use this delete operation that's going to delete that record, and we will go ahead and pass this record that we want to delete. Simple as that. So we already know that how to get the HTTP request. Through this HTTP request, we'll able to access the URL, and the URL will provide the ID of the record that you want to delete. Just like in this case, we provided the ID of the record that we want to retrieve, but this was a get request. We are doing a delete request now, so this should delete the record. And then based upon the ID, you are looking for that record. So you are storing that record in this variable, and then you are using the delete call in order to delete that record. I've just saved this. In order to invoke this, in order to invoke it, we are going to go back to our REST client, which is this. And now we are going to make a delete call, and we will provide the ID of the record that I want to delete. So let's say I want to delete this record, seeking guidance on electrical wing. So this is the record that I want to delete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the ID, and I'm going to pass this ID in the URL, and I've already selected delete. So I'm making a delete request. Here. And based upon this request, I already have a method defined on my resource. So I have a delete. So this is the method that will be invoked because you are making a delete request. So this is what is going to be invoked, not this. So since you are making delete request, this is the method that will be invoked. Now, once you hit the execute button, that record will be deleted. Then you can see a 200 means it is full. Finally, if there was an issue, it would have complained. Now, if you go back, initially we have 4 records, right? So let's see this. If we refresh it, and we can see here the records are changed to 3 because that records is got deleted. So there is no record available. So if you try to do it again, if you try to delete that record with this ID, this ID is no longer available. This time we are going to get an error because that particular record was not found, because that has already been deleted by the request that we made earlier. So this is how you add a delete method. In the next tutorial, we are going to go ahead and add a put method and a patch method as well. So if the client is making a put or patch request, you should be able to create or update the existing record. So how to do that? Very simple. We are going to take a look at it next in the next tutorial. Till then, have a good day. Bye.